everybody, welcome to Stonx Music. My name's Ollie and today we're going to be looking at Limiter in this deep dive episode. Let's go! Right, so here we are back in the Ableton Manual. Let's see what they've got to say about Limiter. The limiter effect is a mastering quality dynamic range processor that ensures that the output does not exceed a specified level. Limiter is ideal for use in the master track to prevent clipping. A limiter is essentially a compressor with an infinite ratio. For more information about compression theory, see the manual entry for the compressor device. Video will be linked up there somewhere. The gain knob allows you to boost or attenuate the incoming level before applying limiting. Ceiling sets the absolute maximum level that the limiter will output. If your incoming signal level has no peaks that are higher than the ceiling, limiter will have no effect. The stereo LR switch determines how limiter treats peaks that occur on only one side of the stereo signal. In LR mode, limiter functions as two separate limiters with independent limiting for each channel. Stereo mode applies limiting to both channels whenever either of them has a peak that requires compression. LR mode allows limiter to apply more compression, but with some distortion of the stereo image. The look ahead chooser affects how quickly limiter will respond to peaks that require compression. Shorter look ahead times allow for more compression, but with an increase in distortion, particularly in the bass. The release knob adjusts how long it takes for limiter to return to normal operation after the signal falls below the ceiling. With auto enabled, limiter analyzes the incoming signal and sets an appropriate release time automatically. The meter gives a visual indication of how much gain reduction is being applied to the signal. Note that any device or channel faders that appear after the limiter may add gain. To ensure that your final output will never clip, place limiter as the last device in the master track's device chain and keep your master fader below 0 dB. It's not really much to look at with this one, but we'll jump into Ableton anyway and I'll show you what I do. Right, so here we are in Ableton, and since there's really not too much to look at with the limiter, I thought I'd just open up one of the projects that I'm working on at the moment and have a little look at kind of how I have this set up. So I think I've included this in some of my other project files. This is my template that I start almost all of my tracks on. We've got the sidechain trigger at the top here, drums, which has kicks and snares, and then hats at the top. And then we have everything else, which has our bass, our pads, and our sound effects in there, and our sub bass at the bottom, all alone on its own. Then down here, if you click that little R, we have some reverbs, drum bus compression, and a little crush'em, which kind of just adds some high-end frequencies to everything. On our master channel, we have a utility with bass mono set to 500, and that is just for our stereo image, just kind of pretty much make sure all the bass is mono and the tops can be as stereo as they want. And then our upper ceiling, which is just the preset dragged in from limiter, which has the auto, look ahead at 3, gain at 0, and then we can set our ceiling ourselves. So this isn't any proper mastering by any means. It's just what I like to work with kind of for my own safety and just kind of give my mix a general idea, and you can kind of also see what's going on over here. I work with 2 ceilings and there's no real reason why. I can't tell you why sometimes I use one and use the other, but I generally work at either minus 1.5 dB or at minus 0.1 dB, just kind of depending, I suppose, how well I've done in the mix and how much I need to kind of correct stuff. So this one's set at minus 1.5. Let's have a little listen from the beginning, and we're just going to watch and see what happens on this little slider here. So already, even just from listening to that and looking at this, I can go, well, it looks to me that my kick drums are too loud. My kick drums seem to be the only thing that's getting limited here. Every time I have one of these big old smackers knock in. Let's see which one it is. It's probably that, right? Set at 0 dB. So that's minus 3 that. Have a little look. That snare hit me getting to. these tops. Sub down here. Too offensive. Let's have a look in our effects. We've got a couple of big old impacts. So the combination of all of them seems to be doing something, I think. Let's keep watching. Generally though, I'm quite happy with that. That's not too bad. This is currently an unmixed and unmastered track, so that's what I'd be using the limiter for, you know, just trying to get a nice kind of balance, chopping off any of those high peaks, and you can also use it as a tool to kind of see, oh right, those kicks were obviously too loud because they were just hitting the limiter straight away. I've knocked them at -3 dB. It's not that I can't hear them all of a sudden, they were just a bit too loud. So I'm just going to adjust this gain and hit it up a lot so we can see what happens when it really starts limiting. And let's go over here and listen to another bit of the track. We've got this bit. Really distorted anyway, it's really hard to tell what's going on. Let's just go back to the bit we've heard. So you can hear straight away when you ram that gain up, you can get a lot of perceived loudness, but it is coming at the cost of A, your dynamics, and B, actual audio quality. You can hear the noise floor's been brought up a lot more. There's a lot more distortion there. It's not really ideal. And like I say, this isn't a proper master. This is just what I do when I'm in the writing mixing stage. Can be used as a bit of a tool because you can see what's triggering the limiter, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Limiter, chuck it on your master, have a bit more control. I suppose the one other thing that I would do with it, I'm just going to open a new set. Save changes, no. So I'll include this template with this project for you guys to use if you want to. And let's just do a little bit of bass design. So the one thing that I do use limiter for is, let's go ahead and do some crazy bass design, and we're going to just get our operator and we're going to do a bunch of horrible stuff to it. So let's just turn all these up. Just going to click here, do some of this, click here, do some of you, click here, do some of you, and then we want to say we're just experimenting and we don't really know what we're going to do. Let's grab our limiter, let's go to upper ceiling, and we'll set that to -1.5. And now we don't have to worry about blowing our ears up with any of the crazy stuff we're going to do. So let's grab a glue compressor, threshold down, makeup up, soft clip, and we'll go. If I turn this off, not really too much at the moment, that's cool. Let's chuck a phaser on here. Let's do some get some harsh noises in there. Let's grab an EQ8 and just boost all the high frequencies for almost no reason apart from we love it. Cool. Let's then grab a bunch of, let's say, a reverb, something that's going to give us a nice tail. Cool. And let's grab utility. I'm going to put this here and we're going to whack the gain all the way up. Duplicate this a bunch of times. And now, this is the reason to have your limiter, because this would blow your head off without the limiter. So what I really like is like chasing those tails and you get some of these kind of crackly weird effects. This is one I got from Mr. Bill. It's a really cool sound design technique. Just trying to get the artifacts out of things. So if for instance something has a high quality mode, oversampling, you might want to turn that off. Same with this EQ, if you've got oversampling on, turn it off, because you're looking for artifacts at this point. So let's grab something else, what might give us some nasties. Let's turn the size up of this and see what we get at the end. It's kind of that little end crackle, which is nice. Let's grab something like a filter delay and we can put that somewhere down the end here. Not filter, oh yeah, not filter delay. Let's grab a grain delay, something that's going to be some nasty noises. Cool. Let's go OTT and crush it a bit more before it goes through all of these utilities. Multiband, OTT, and we're going to duplicate that like 5 times and see what we get. Oh, that at the end, love it. Yeah, so with you can see this is still trailing off. So without this upper ceiling here, without that limiter, that would probably blow your headphones and blow your speakers up. So it's a nice one to use just as a safety precaution, if nothing else. So here on my master channel, I'm not using it to give me a finished mastered sound. I'm using it just so I don't blow myself up when I'm trying to write and make music. Same here with this operator. When I'm doing some sound design, it's just really nice to know that you're going to be safe when you're messing around with this stuff. So if I was to group all of this and just show you the initial sound we had, and then through the means of insane sound design, we've ended up making something that would have blown up our speakers if it wasn't for having this upper ceiling limiter at the end. So it's just a great one to kind of protect yourself, guys. Stay safe out there, stay limited. Alright everyone, that'll do it for this episode of Deep Dive. Hopefully you've learned a little thing about limiter. I mean, by no means is it a big kind of sound design thing. It's just a limiter, limiting those peaks, bit of safety so you don't blow up your speakers, you don't blow up your headphones, and you don't ruin your ears. So yeah, chuck one of them in your master, set the ceiling to 0 dB if you want, minus 0.1, minus 1.5. Set it somewhere up there just so you're not clipping in your master, and if you see too much of that orange, and you've got too much stuff going into your master anyway. So thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of these deep dive episodes, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye.